It's now 6 minutes after the hour. So episode is in Mission. And of course, like it's the Caribbean. Good morning, good morning to you. Welcome inside another edition of House Is. And for us, it's the 8th day of November 2023. Welcome, Ms Sonia Cazaubon, Project Program Director of Waterways. It's a pleasure to have you join us here. And just to really inform the listeners, we were supposed to have a handling discussion last week. Unfortunately, due to a power outage, we were not supposed to carry the program. So here we are today to more keep the public abreast with what has happened and with the quality today training program, which a lot of persons were excited to partake in, but has been placed on hold. Go ahead, just an introduction. Those persons who are joining us in the program. Good morning,
Nadia Cazaubon, as most of you know, Sonia Cazaubon. My role here today is to talk about a couple of projects that we're working on. I work with a non-governmental organization called Waterways. We used to be called Caribbean Street Environment but we changed our name to Waterways. So we will be having a conversation today about some of the topics that we are working on. Including the winner for happiness and the winner for
Thank you so much. Nice and quick. First of all, I am interested to know about our cleanup. We've seen an increase in what can I say, but a lot of improper disposal of garbage. I would love you to speak to that, and also a recent campaign that was embarked upon, which saw the beach park, Market Road, for Beignet, and I think a few other areas. I think you would be the best person to speak about this initiative.
Okay, so every year in September, about the second or third Saturday in September is recognized as International Coastal Cleanup. So countries around the world, organizations and individuals sign on to undertake to clean up a portion of the coastal area where they live or where they work. We have been doing this from the time I joined SMMA in 2007. SMMA was actually the sole agency coordinating international coastal cleanup, and then it has now been the national coordinator has now been assigned as the Caribbean Youth Environment Network (CYEN), and this year CYEN took a slightly different approach. They're starting to collect information in terms of what trash is picked up at 5 spots around the island, and they will keep those 5 sites from now until. So we were able to get Soufriere as one of the permanent sites for cleanup. So for us with Caribbean Sea slash Waterways, we engaged different groups to join us in cleaning the waterfront. We had the members of Black Panthers Sports Club send some representatives. We had some members of the Environmental Club at Soufriere Primary join us as well. And we had the Soufriere Fishermen's Cooperative who took on the part of cleaning from the mouth of the river to the fisheries complex. The groups that I mentioned just previously, they assisted in cleaning from behind the cemetery to the end of the Soufriere Beach, which is at the end of the Still Beach Resort, sorry. And we attempted to send a crew to clean up around Bat Cave Ratchet Point area, but Unfortunately, the boat could not find a safe enough spot because the sea was slightly rough to have the persons disembark. Subsequent to that, the Dive Association of Aglo held a cleanup, and I know Scuba St. Lucia as well as Sugar Beach Dive Shop. They undertook some cleanups, as well as Sugar Beach took on this year for the first time cleaning up the road from Margaret Road all the way to Estepiton, Jalousie. So we had quite an extensive area covered, and then the Barons Drive Youth Organization did the clean up in the Barons Drive area as well. We were able to collect quite a few for our parts, the from the mouth of the river down to the beach park and past. We were able to collect um, a couple hundred pounds, sorry, of trash. We undertook a sand sifting exercise with the students for them to see, and also the adults there got to see as well that a lot of the trash breaks up. The plastic, for instance, breaks up into smaller and smaller pieces, and it becomes embedded in the soil, in the sand, sorry, on the beach. So we were able to sift and show them that if the trash is not removed, eventually it breaks down, and then marine animals mistake these things for food and they eat it, and then they end up with their guts being clogged with plastic. So we want to implore the public. At the beach park, we picked up hundreds of bottle stoppers. Before the beach park became was developed, we were not getting as many all of these bottle stoppers, but you can imagine why. We would like to implore the vendors in that area to put some jars out to collect the bottle stoppers, because if the bottle stopper rests and it is facing up, that can easily cut and injure somebody. We were getting a lot of small plastic bags, the $5 bags, you know what I'm talking about. We also found some cigarette butts, the filter part of the cigarettes as well. But the by far the most abundant item that we picked up was plastic in the form of wrappers, plastic bottles, and then the bottle caps.
Thank you so much for that enlightenment. But thus far, what do you think can be put in place? Whether more, or is there a need for more disposable bins, or even maybe having some sort of arrangement where the scavengers will frequent those areas to try to keep it a lot cleaner?
The onus is on the user to properly dispose of the trash. Meaning, if you have something that needs to be disposed of, you need to find the time, the 1 minute it would take, or the 30 seconds it would take for you to find the garbage bin to throw away the garbage. And at the beach park, there are garbage bins at the beach park. There's no excuse if you're bathing behind the cemetery for you to dump your garbage anywhere willy nilly. There are bins available. If you're down at the end by the jetty, hold on to your garbage. When you're leaving the beach, dump it in one of the bins. There's a big green bin by the corner of the cemetery. It's a simple thing as you coming to enjoy the beach. You want to see the beach clean, but you're leaving your garbage behind for somebody else to come and clean. That is being nasty. We need to stop that bad habit we have as St. Lucians, because I will take you and I will bring you to a foreign country where if you litter, you get fined and you will behave yourself. You will know what to do. So do it in your own country.
I'm happy you touched on that point, because here I am saying, but what do we do? How can we rid ourselves of such a practice, which is really, really sad?
I think it's just St. Lucians who are too complacent, who have become, I don't even want to say it in the bad sense, but we need to take pride in our community. We have lost that sense of pride, and we cannot say tell start teaching the children, because from before my generation, people were taught not to litter. You understand? You were taught about the proper way to dispose of your garbage. It's a bad habit that we have that we need to break. And we need to hold each other responsible. If you see somebody throwing garbage on the road, don't feel threatened, don't feel shy. Open your mouth and speak up and tell them, hey, pick it up. That's not why you're supposed to throw it. I've had people quarrel with me and tell me, oh, I'm not carrying garbage in my bag. I'm like, so what? When you at home, you dropping the garbage at your home on the floor too? I will speak up. I will open my mouth and tell them they need to throw the garbage in the bins. There's nothing wrong with holding the garbage in your bag in your person when you get home. You put it in the bin if you cannot find the bin on the road or in a shop. There's nothing wrong with holding on to it until you find the proper place to dispose of it. But for us to continue that and say, oh, if I don't drop it on the road, then the town council workers do not have work to do. That nonsense needs to stop. The town council workers have other things that they need to do, but their days are consumed with cleaning the gutters. That should not be. That really and truly should not be their role. They have other things to do in terms of beautification, in terms of keeping all the grass down all over the areas. There's other work that needs to be done to beautify the community. But if we cannot, if their time is consumed with just cleaning the drains, the other work that should be done for us to see some sort of development will never happen.
I'm sure a lot of persons are not liking this, but it's just the harsh reality. Again, it would serve the purpose with what exactly we're looking to do as it relates to the charter for the Soufriere River.
Definitely. Um, the Soufriere River used to be a resource that persons would turn to for household, for cleaning, for washing, for bathing, for recreation, for catching fish, crayfish, way back in the before the 70s. Unfortunately, we have lost the use of the Soufriere River. If I ask you to name a river that you can go and bathe in, nobody will tell me the Soufriere River for them to go and bathe in. But if I tell you that as recently as maybe the 1970s or the 1960s, there was a bassin behind the Soufriere Hospital that people would go to on the wall of the river behind the hospital and dive headfirst into a bassin behind the Soufriere Hospital. You can begin to imagine one, the river was clean enough for people to go and bathe in it, but two, how deep the river was back then. That it had enough water that you would be able to take a head shoot into the river safely and not hit your head and end up with a concussion or die. So we need to go back to our use of the Soufriere River. And to do that, we need to clean up the Soufriere River. Look at Dominica. Dominica boasts 365 rivers, and you can bathe in every single one of them without worrying it being dirty. In Dominica, Dominicans take pride. And I've heard stories of St. Lucians going to Dominica for Creole Festival and dropping garbage. And the Dominicans jump on them and made them clean up what they threw away because Dominicans take pride in their rivers, they take pride in their natural environment. What's wrong with us doing that? We need to turn our mentality around, change our habits, put pressure on those who are not doing the right things for us to clean up our river. And this is what Waterways is embarking on. We have a vision that we would like in as soon as possible. Let's say we're giving ourselves 2 to 5 years or 3 to 5 years that we can bombard persons with information on the water quality, on our efforts in cleaning the Soufriere River, in getting people to assist in volunteering to monitor the water quality, getting volunteers to monitor what is happening around the river, for us to see in 2 to 5 years that we have a river that is clean of garbage, and then the water quality will improve to a point where we can go back and recreate in the Soufriere River. It's going to take a process, it's going to take some time, it's going to take some determination and perseverance, because to get persons to change their behaviors for a behavior that is learned not more than 40 years, it's about 40 to 50 years. To get persons to change their behavior will take some time, but we can do it. It is not an impossible task, but it's something we must do. Because if you think back to Hurricane Thomas, after Hurricane Thomas, when there was no water in the pipes, all Wasco pipes were broken. People were going back to the river. A lot of people went back to the river for water to bathe at their homes, whether they bathe in the river itself or where they took the water back to their homes for them to bathe at their homes in their yards, to wash, to clean up. If I tell you right now, nobody should be walking in the Soufriere River. The water quality is so bad. You are at risk of falling ill, falling severely sick from just walking in the river. We need to change that. We need to clean up the water from trash and from bacteria.
Thank you so much. For persons as well, Adopt the River project, how has that been going?
So Waterways has applied for a grant from the Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, GEF SGP, we received a planning grant that gave us some funds for us to engage in community consultations, in conducting some background research, in conducting some interviews, um, for us to see if we could, if the project was actually feasible. And from the community consultations, the overwhelming response is that it needs to be done. Something must happen. We recently, last week, had a workshop where we engaged persons from a wide cross section of the community, from private sector to government, to ask questions of them and to have them tell us what direction we should go with the project. And the overwhelming response again was, it needs to happen. When I showed them what the water quality was, people were appalled. It needs to happen. We need to do something to effect a change to improve the water quality and improve the aesthetics of the Soufriere River. Adopt a river, it's several components. It includes several components. One is for us to get volunteers from Soufriere, clubs, communities, individuals, businesses to come together and adopt sections of the Soufriere River. These volunteers will be trained in conducting river cleanups, in conducting water quality monitoring, in conducting river assessments. We have upcoming a 2-day training program, which will be run by volunteers from Trinidad. There's an Adopter River TT, Adopter River Trinidad and Tobago, that has been in existence for over 10 years now. Adopter River TT, the person who started the program in Trinidad and the person who is currently running the program, Dr. Mahabir and Ms. McKay, they will be in St. Lucia from the 16th to the 21st in Soufriere, assisting us in running a 2-day training for volunteers. So persons who are interested in becoming volunteers in learning how to monitor water quality in conducting the tests, we are encouraging you, contact me because I still have a few spots available. We have quite a few students who are coming from Sir Arthur, and hopefully we'll get some from Super Comprehensive as well, to participate in that training workshop, a 2-day workshop. And you will be testing the river. You will get to see what the water quality results are for yourself. You will get to grow bacteria. You will get to sample the water, put it through a solution, let it sit down for a day and see. You'll be able to count the bacteria levels in the water, test for other things in terms of nitrates, phosphates, the temperature, salinity, how acidic it is, etc. So we will be doing the water chemistry, the water quality monitoring training in 2 weeks. Most likely the 18th and the 19th for Saturday and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday. So we are going to figure out what 2 days would work best for everybody. But between the 16th to the 21st is when our 2-day training workshop will be held in Soufriere.
Okay, well, based on data analysis, could you speak to us as to how often would this be allowed?
So for our water monitors, in terms of our, whether we call them our water warriors as Trinidad does, or if we give our monitors a different name, we would require them after they've been trained. We would be providing the groups with testing kits, and they will be required to do those tests once a month. Using the more sensitive equipment, that testing would be done either once a quarter, or as in Trinidad, they do it twice a year, once in the wet season, once in the dry season. Now, since we don't have a distinction between wet and dry these days, we will choose the first half of the year and the second half of the year. But yes, we are looking to, we have already partnered with, for instance, Forestry and Water Resources Management Agency. We will be assisting them because Forestry and Water Resources do not have enough people to cover all the areas that they need to do for it to be monitored regularly. So including people, including citizens, including residents, we're basically providing them with volunteers who would be able to assist them in conducting monitoring what is affecting us. So you cannot expect somebody from Castries to come to monitor in Soufriere and then tell you in Soufriere what is happening. You in Soufriere should be monitoring what is happening in Soufriere to tell them, hey, something is happening, for the experts in Castries to then come down and try to figure out where the issue is coming from and go and deal with the problem at the source.
what is next for waterways? We're seeing the end, if I were to say, for 2023.
Well, we're working on getting our planning grant completed so that we can apply for the full grant, and the full grant will become available in April. So Jeff's funding cycle begins in April, so we will be working assiduously for us to get the planning grant completed. We are working towards now. What I am busy with this week actually is putting together the report from the workshop that we had on Thursday last week to put together a draft of a charter for the protection of the Soufriere River. That charter is going to speak to, for instance, what value do we place on the Soufriere River? What value in terms of its natural resource? What do we use the water for? What right now? What would we like to use the water for in the future? The marine organisms, not the marine, the aquatic organisms that we have in the river, or we used to have in the river, do we want to continue seeing it declining, or would we like these aquatic animals to come back? In terms of the numbers of crayfish that we were seeing in the rivers before, as compared to now. um, so we're going to prepare a draft charter that will be circulated to all the participants of our community consultations as well as the workshop. And then once it is done, we will have the charter available for everybody in Soufriere who is interested in it to sign, to say, I want to see the river quality, the aesthetics, the trash removed. I want the water quality to improve. And we would present that charter to the government of St. Lucia and say, hey, so for people would like to see the river cleaned, we want your support.
As far as the ground evaluation monitoring, you can please share with us
Monitoring of the water quality.
an overall monitoring and in terms of the aquatics, the water quality.
Well, through our research in the past, and from my research when I worked at the SMMA, we can tell you that currently the water quality does not meet recreational standards. Nobody should be bathing in the Soufriere River. We have a misconception as St. Lucians and a few Caribbean countries that clear water means clean water. And that is not the case. Clear water is what you can see. So if you cannot see any dirt in the water, it's not turbid, there's no sedimentation happening at that point, you will be able to see the rocks on the bottom of the riverbed. But you cannot see the bacteria that is steaming in the water unless you use a microscope or unless you use a test to allow them to grow to a point where you can actually see and start counting colonies. So the persons who will be doing the water quality monitoring training with us will get the opportunity for them to grow on their own, for them to see that the clear water we will give in you, you will be collecting yourself in the bottle, in the jar. It would look clear. But when you grow what is in the water, you will understand that clear water does not mean clean water. And what we want is clean water, not just clear. It has to be clear and clean for us to be able to use it for recreation, for fishing, for bathing, for
Um,
river limes.
as it relates to the educational aspect of it, to you or there is special expertise being lent to this course as well.
Definitely. So, part of the project, the full grant, is going to include continuous education through all mediums, whether it is on the radio, on television, through the schools, going to business places, through signs, billboards, murals, um, general community meetings, town hall meetings. It's going to be 2 years of intense, constant education on different aspects of river health.
And I think maybe we would need to revise in terms of the town hall meetings, most of the times we don't get the numbers and the rates and the
Yes.
education for the school, public awareness and stuff. I think it works a lot better than having the town hall meetings.
Well, not just, I don't want to target just the children because the majority of the people who are littering are adults, not just the children.
I think radio programming will really
So,
teach the
radio programming, yes, but we want to take it to them. So, we're going to go into the communities. So, we will do one day in, for instance, Barnes Drive, one day in Market Road, one day up Smoke Hill, one day in town, one day at in Forbenye, one day in Palmis. You get the point? So, we will be going from town all the way Bouton, Fonjoli, Etang. So we will cover every single community bit by bit so that in the 2 year period we would have gone to every single community, but we will also be meeting with the sports clubs, the churches, going to their meetings, going to their gatherings to speak to their congregations and to have that discourse covering all our groups.
agreement purposes as well. I think they should have quite a few signage as well to assist.
Yes, so
Put
we
it
will,
into practice.
yes.
The members, but at this time it's now 10:30 in Surface St. Lucia and of course the Eastern Caribbean. To those of you just joining us, hey, good morning to you. Welcome inside house guests. It's the 8th day of November 2023. Sonia Cazaubon, Program Director, Waterways. As we wind down this discussion, what would you love to share with the listening audience?
Two things. We had there's a fledgling group, a new group of homeowners, or it could be a renter, starting up a backyard garden project in Soufriere. So we have currently a group mainly of teachers, current or retired teachers, who have their own little spaces at their homes doing organic backyard farming, and they um, applying for them to be registered as a formal group, and they have the secured funding from the National Conservation Fund for them to embark on an organic backyard gardening project. I would like to congratulate the members on receiving that grant, and they will begin an education campaign to teach people about organic backyard farming so that we could learn to feed ourselves organically, healthy, without using chemicals, making your own fertilizers, making your own pesticides. So that group, they will be having some exhibitions at the supermarket, selling some of their produce if they have any excess to sell, because they will be bartering amongst themselves. But we want to spread and make it a community thing, to get more people involved in backyard farming, backyard gardening. So that's something to look forward to. Um, and I had one more thing that I had sent to you. Well, SMMA has a meeting for those persons who are interested. Let me just put a plug in for them. Um, and Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, and today is my sister's birthday, so I would like to wish her a very happy birthday, Maria, all the way in Taiwan right now.
She has it for sure. Um, how would you like to close your final recommendation?
Um, just to implore people, even without the project having started, we can on our own start the process of being our brothers and sisters keepers in monitoring what is happening, reporting what you see that is not right, encouraging your family and your friends not to litter. We have a very regular garbage collection system in Sufer with 2 days of regular garbage collection and once a month of bulk waste pickup. So we would like to persons to start the process of being mindful of our environment. We never know when we would have a disaster strike, whether it be a heavy rainfall event or an earthquake, and we would need to go back to using the Soufriere River. So we should start the process of cleaning up the river from now on. Those persons who are interested in doing the water quality monitoring or finding out about the results, please contact me. My number is 519-2425 to sign up to be a volunteer for the training. It would be a 2-day training workshop. You'll receive a certificate that would state that you are qualified in doing water sampling at the very least, and you'll be trained in using our equipment in water testing.
I think prior to that as well, persons not only can they contact you, but then a readout would be necessary for persons who are interested. And sometimes they may not have the time to contact you, but if they hear a specific plug-in on the radio, they would be more prompt to do so.
Yes.
Again, I want to just reiterate your sentiments in terms of the town hall meeting happening today at 6 p.m. Whispers. We've seen the problem where punctuality continues to be an issue, but we're hoping that everybody will make it and be on time. 6 p.m. More awareness being created around the SMMA, getting people more sensitized in terms of community and the happenings. All that is in good spirits. This is why I extend gratitude to you as always. Thank you so much for being here, making it possible, educating the populace. It is now time where we say goodbye to you. As always, it's a great pleasure to our listeners as well. Being here, staying tuned, getting the various knowledge that is needed. Until tomorrow, you can catch me here with Miss Reniasa Dosoze, Creative Flourish. Please stay tuned, keep it locked. We're out. Blessings.